Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. It is Wednesday morning. We are in for a hot day here in Southern Ontario. It's a beautiful morning, so I'm sitting outside. We've got some interesting news in the last few days regarding Harry and Meghan, and it leads to, well, at least in my case, perhaps some wild speculation about what's to come. First of all, what we've discovered, it was in the press the other day, that apparently when Harry came for his the Invictus service, and he was staying in London for, I think it was 2 to 3 days anyway, and you know how he had said, oh well, the king just doesn't have time for me, and this kind of is what his people put out in the press. Well, come to find out that indeed he was offered a place at one of the palaces. They assume it was probably St. James Palace. Now, Princess Anne has apartments there for when she's in town, when she's in London. Other members of the royal family have rooms there as well when they're in town. And, you know, there's lots of available space. So he was offered a place to stay. And, of course, those palaces are guarded very well. You know, what does he'd have the same security as any other royal staying in any other royal palace. He'd have all the security that he needed, but apparently this wasn't enough for Harry. You see, he wants it all. He wants the 17-car motorcade with motorcycle outriders and guards with guns, or bodyguards with guns, and, you know, as if he's as if he's President Biden, you know, a 17-car motorcade. This is the kind of madness that Harry thinks, you know, that Harry thinks he deserves. So it was actually Harry that turned him down and stayed in a hotel. Can you imagine? He would turn down full royal security, staying at a palace where he's totally protected. No, he's going to stay at a hotel because that level of protection just isn't good enough for him. Absolutely ridiculous crap. Absolutely. So, I mean, people faltered for a bit. They're saying, oh, the king is so cold and doesn't have time for his son, and some people were saying, well, I wouldn't have time for that little traitor either. And others were saying it's up to the king to be the better person. Turns out it wasn't the king's choice at all. Harry made the decision that the offer was just not sweet enough for him. He is too important for just run-of-the-mill royal security. Can you imagine? So there you go. And now, talking about security, well, now we know their trip to Nigeria, which is one of the most dangerous places in the world, by the way. But, you know, can't come to London, you know, but go to Nigeria, you know, because the price is right. They got everything paid for, and I'm sure they left there with pockets full of diamonds or cash or something. Meghan doesn't get out of bed unless she's paid for it. So anyway, yeah. So they go to Nigeria, and who turns up in all the pictures? Well, the head of Peace Air. He was on the official welcoming committee. You see him in the sort of receiving line there. This guy and his business partner as well from Peace Air, which ferried Meghan and Harry around and their entourage for free all over the place. Now, he is a fugitive in the United States. He's wanted for fraud and money laundering and, you know, millions of dollars worth of... This guy is a complete criminal, and this is who they've kind of this is their main contact. This is their guy in Nigeria. Can you imagine? But I mean, we've seen other royals down the line, Andrew and even the king, have dealings with not very good people to better their financial situations. We've seen it down the line. Once you're in that kind of elite grouping of people, it seems that it doesn't matter what you do or who you do or who you do it with, because you're above reproach, and that's what we've kind of seen now. This will, I think, impact Harry and Meghan. Who knows? It doesn't look good, and everybody's talking about it. Now, we know, because they have said that there's at least 2 or 3 more of these faux royal tours in the works. Some coming up very soon. So they're planning to, go ahead and grift this and pretend they're royals and go on these stupid tours and be feted by, criminals, the criminal elite of these countries that are run by, corrupt warlords and everything. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not sure where they're planning to go next, but one thing I am sure of, and this is where it gets interesting. Now, we have discovered that with the trip to Nigeria, that the palace did know what was going on. The British government did know what was going on. In fact, members of the British government, now I don't know if it was the Home Office or Defense or whoever handles these kinds of things anyway, the British guy, envoy, diplomat, whatever, that spoke to his equivalent in Nigeria, so they knew what Harry and Meghan were doing. They knew the airline they were going to be taking. They knew where they were going to be staying. They knew all the details, you see. So the British government and the Crown, Charles and William, know exactly what Harry and Meghan are up to. Now here's where spooky speculation sets in. Should Harry and Meghan become a problem? MI5 has their travel plans. MI5, MI6, the Majesty's Secret Service, all the spooks and the government, and everybody knows what they're doing. Just like with Diana. She was, even though she was considered a private citizen, the British government services knew what Diana was up to. Some would argue the cause of her death wasn't necessarily an accident. And there was a lot of people involved, and it could have involved members of these secret services. This is what some people surmise. I've looked at the information. I don't believe the official narrative of what drunken driver stuff, but let's just go out on a limb here and say that if there was someone or some entity that needed to neutralize Harry and Meghan, knowing all their plans and following them, it might be kind of easy to hatch a plan. I don't know. Should Harry and Meghan be worried? I guess we'll find out. That's all I have for you today, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye for now.